I'm just going to say this right now. Clarence Peters shot, edited, graded, sound designed, and directed this series. And I said that it's not possible. Clarence Peters.
Produced, co-wrote.
Produced, co-wrote as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I don't even know what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not. I don't know why I said that. It's you. I don't even know why I said that. I'm not surprised.
What does it even mean?
Tell me you've never heard that before.
That what?
Oh, it's Clarence Peters. Like, you know how they say things like, oh my goodness, who did this? It's impossible. Clarence Peters did it. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Tell me you've never gotten that reaction.
It's not always a good thing. A lot of times it's not a good thing.
Why?
Because you lose the element of surprise. I guess all right, whatever, let's move to
Haven't you been doing this since you were 13?
Yes, I have.
So how do you expect that people will be surprised at good work?
I don't expect them, I don't have a right to expect them to be surprised, but it's still not cool.
You want to still surprise people?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Well, I guess in a world where you don't really get in a way it is surprising in a sense, because if you think about it, we're surprised at the fact that it is possible to do this. Now, with the creative industry, there's a lot of no's and, created impossibilities where we say, oh, I can't do this because, or I can't do that because, or if I don't have this, I cannot do this. But when you meet a person who defies these things, then that does surprise you. So I guess you could take that.
I don't think that I defy it as much as within the context of what I think that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I think that, as a matter of fact, I first try to simplify it first. The problem is that we complicate it, right? When the back end, when people are trying to create things, is they go for the most complicated things first. And the idea needs to be, you're thinking people would like this, people would like that, this people would like, all these different people would like it. So you put a lot of things inside and it sounds nice. Yeah. And then when it's time to shoot it, then voila starts. Right? Yeah. So I always like to first simplify it first and then complicate it as we go along. So I try to do it in reverse, which doesn't work well for the pitch, because the pitch now it's too simple there. It's not going to work, and it's it would grow as it's going. So it makes it hard for me to get people to believe in things when I first pitch. I suck at pitching, right? So it makes it hard for people to buy into the premise until it's done, and then they look at it it doesn't look as simple as, and it looks extremely complicated now, but that's not how it started
in the first place. Do you think in that sense that's where the persona comes into play?
I won't lie, it has helped in the most unconventional ways, but with this project in particular, it sounded a little too ludicrous that most people didn't go with me on it. I tried to convince a bunch of people, and it just...
Why do you think they didn't?
Looking in hindsight now, partly because I suck at pitching, one.
Well, you're a filmmaker, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah, but also... I don't know. It's not okay in Nigeria. It's not okay.
You have to be able to do everything.
Because if you can't sell it, then you don't get it made. Yeah. All right. But I think the other side to it was also a lot of people that I was trying to get to go with me on the journey weren't film people.
Okay.
All right. And even if the ones that were film people didn't believe. All right, because when they talk to you and they think it's a good idea, then they go and talk to the people who are the film people, and they're like, no, he's a music video guy. No, he can't really do all of that. And so I say, you know what? I can't curse. All right, damn everyone. I'm just...
No, but doesn't that now also tell you, because it's ironic that we're talking about this, and the series is called Inside Life, and as much as, it's created around the lives of these women in prison, correct?
And men.
And men in prison. But you can also relate that to the more generic sense of difficulties and stereotyping in a way. Like as a filmmaker, for instance, trying to pitch and also trying to break out of that. Do you consider that a challenge though? Break out of that persona of the music director who's now a filmmaker.
Fun fact, when I decided specifically that I wanted to come back home because I started off in film narrative work, right? That it was time because I'd been scared about coming back for a better part of 10 years,
Why?
if not more. So my first fear was marketing, right? Being able to find a place to actually sell. It made no sense if you're going to make and there's no place for you to sell it to. And I didn't believe in the cinema system at the time. I was also not well informed about like the cinema system at the time. I took a lot of what people told me and I ran with that. And so it kept on, didn't feel like it was time. And then because I believe in streaming, so I don't necessarily I believe in the fact that the Nigerian audience like to watch worlds, will watch characters. And so, yeah, it's nice to go to the cinema to go and watch things, but we're telenovela age type of people. We want to be able to follow what happened to this character and like and all of that. So early on, I'd already decided that this is where I wanted to go to episodic content. I didn't know where to put it and how, because it didn't exist at the time. When the streaming options started coming up, I didn't know how to go about it. And for a long time, it seemed like it would be impossible for me to break into that. I didn't know how impossible it was until I said, you know what?
I'm going to do it.
Let's go do it. And that was very painful 2 to 3 years of trying to get the show to find a home because we wrapped principal photography in January, 1st of February 2022.
Wow.
Wrapped second unit. Yes, wrapped second unit. A month after that, went into preliminary post, which I thought we were fine, we were golden. 8 months after that, and then couldn't find a place for it. Right.
But what was, if you're going to just say pinpoint, because I feel like what you've just said is a major challenge, and I'm not even quite sure what the solution to it is yet. But what exactly was the issue for you?
A plethora of reasons, but the top three would be I am not a film guy, and so most of the people within that space didn't know who I was. So all that, you're Clarence Peters, doesn't mean for squat in this space. All right, fine, there's that.
Okay, I'll come back to that too.
And then the story and the style wasn't what they believed Africans were used to, specifically Nigerians were used to, so they didn't think that would work. And finally, I didn't have stars in court, all right? And I believe in new talent, especially when it comes to acting. I really believe I would pick people who would do the work, right, for the characters, and really commit to the characters over brand names.
Yeah.
All right, because I believe brand names are built because they are actors who have actually been able to put in the work. And that's how you start to know them in the first place, right? So those three factors would be, there are other factors, but those would be the top of the line. I think
definitely those three factors are major issues to why lots of projects also do not move forward. Now, I know, using Hollywood as an example, right? I've seen situations where even the Academy as an institution, trying to get into that space as a newbie is not the easiest thing, but then they do take chances. Sort of how like Bong Joon-ho won, Best Picture, and this is a South Korean, that's like unprecedented, or Roma with
I don't think they took chances with that.
I do think they took chances
They needed to be able to,
be honest.
They wanted to be able to break into that market.
But again, okay, good. So there was something in it for them. Listen, let's chill. No one's gonna hand it to you as fingers. But the point is, they took a chance because they finally saw, okay, you know what? This is something that I also want to get into, right? Now, this is two worlds apart. I'm talking Hollywood Academy, and this is the South Korean film market, which they're now really, really big on. But would you say the same for Alfonso Cuarón and Roma, which equally had the same treatment? The point I'm going to is, why is it that with our industry, which is our industry, for us, by us, this is not us trying to, this is our thing. We have it, but oftentimes a lot of successes are determined by the resources that we have available to us, as opposed to creating a level playing field where it's based on, for instance, a storyline. You know, what's the story or the level of work, grit, and talent that has gone into this? Why is it determined by, well, really, I don't have a lot of competition. It's just A or B, and we're the ones who are going to decide whether you go through or not. Do you think that is how this industry should be? You know, do you think this is what our growth should be based on?
First off, from an artistic point of view, it's because everything is subjective.
Okay.
All right. Artistically, you can't be objective.
Artistically, you cannot be objective.
Yeah, it's subjective because everyone sees things in different ways.
Okay.
All right. So
okay, yeah.
You can be in front of a bunch of EPs and they'll be like, I don't feel this thing is going to work. I don't feel it's going to work. So in other words, what now starts happening is people now go to the matrix and start say the stats and say, okay, look, I have this star. I have this person. This person has done it 10 times over. This person has done it 20 times over.
Yeah.
And that's what you're banking on.
Yeah.
All right. And so that would be, we as Nigerians don't take risks.
Okay.
And this is not just within the industry, just as business in general.
In general.
All right? We don't take risks, right? And in taking risks is trying to really understand what makes this business work. Not what's making it work now, the trend. What is the trajectory of this business in the next 5 to 10 years? Where is it going? And based on that, I will invest. But we're the first people to quickly come and say, you see, that person, when he did that investment, when he did that, look at, and then cheer on that person. But if that person came to you 5 years ago and said, I'm trying to do this thing, again, this person is not serious.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't take risks. Unfortunately, this sector is a high risk, high reward,
the
or high
creative
risk. Yes.
Industry is high risk.
It is high risk, right? It is high risk. There is a story that Netflix lost money for about 10 to 15 years before they started making money. It took one title, right? And this is just a story. I mean, yeah, it took one title. It took House of Cards for them to actually be able to break into that space. Now, the particulars in terms of the business and all that, I am not particularly sure about that, but this is what, and there are a lot of businesses that are within that line. The people that put money or that look at the creative space, it's not just film, just in general, all right? Don't have a long haul mindset. It's working now. We're seeing it's working now. Let's put our money into it and get what we can out. And so they can't be the ones to build the business. If we don't build it ourselves, no one's going to help us build it. It's not going to be Netflix, Amazon. It's not going to be the white man. It's not going to be anyone. It's not going to be the corporate sector. If the filmmakers themselves can't build a market, why should anyone invest in it?
But that's the thing. How do we build this market if we have our niche and that's what we're selling as this is who we are and that's what is profitable?
The stats say, and I may be wrong on this, that there's about 17 million Nigerians in the diaspora. We are 200 million plus people. How are we niche? Oh yeah, and let's just add to that. We are the most influential Black nation in the world.
Can I tell you how we're niche? By the books, by the stats based off of what sells and what doesn't.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
What has now defined our niche.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what the stats are telling you. So the same people that are giving you the stats are giving you the stats of things that have happened.
Yeah.
They're not giving you the stats of what's going to happen.
Yes, in the future.
All right? If you can't, there's a famous quote, I think it's the 2008 Headies, that D'banj got on stage and told the corporates, it was on stage with the award, like, invest in us now when we have not gotten there, because when we get there, we will know.
I know, right? I always reference that.
And now the artists don't seem to be listening to you because you weren't there, you didn't take advantage of the. So people might say that things don't move in Nigeria. I believe they move really slow, but they move.
Yeah.
Never count the Nigerian audience out, ever. Never count Nigerians out, ever. All right? Things might seem like it's this way now, but just give it time. They can shock you. All right? I really believe in the Nigerian spirit. As annoying as my people are, as we are, but yeah, I really believe in our ability to be resilient. It may not make sense in the books, all right? But if you're consistent in these parts, you will get results.
Eventually.
Eventually. If you're honestly consistent, not, I'm just trying to get a quick buck out of it. And that is what my theory about the film space here. Mm-hmm. All right. I think it has way more potential than any of the streaming services. No. I think they haven't been able to crack it, so they go to what they know, which is the algorithms and the stats, and then they judge us based on the stats. You can't judge Nigeria based on the stats. Unfortunately, that's part of it. A lot of people look at it as a curse. I look at it as a gift because we're not predictable. Our market isn't predictable.
Yeah,
and I think I can say this because I've come from the music side where we built something.
Yes.
If you haven't built before, you can't sense the times. Like now, as much as we seem like we are in a financial deficit and there's a lot that's going on, right? The entertainment industry is an export industry.
Yes.
How can you sleep on something and not support something that is an export industry? 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I think it was the World Bank, I also heard from MasterCard, said that the 3 industries that could move Nigeria forward, all right, they're supposed to be the future of Nigeria is agric, tech, and entertainment, right? How are we waiting for other people to tell us what we already have? These are the things. I've been in a lot of forums where we're constantly having conversations about the creative industry. I'm tired of talk. Everyone's just always talking.
I know.
Talking.
We're still talking. And I don't think talking is going to end. I think that there's a systemic lack of understanding. That's the first thing, in my opinion, and I want to get yours on this because, like you said, that was 5-6 years ago, right? You've come from music, and I would always say to people when they're all, giddy about, the creative space and music and investment, I'd always say, listen, you're coming into a space where people have done it by themselves, and they've done it and they've succeeded at it. So if you're going to come and tell them something, you need to tell them what they haven't heard before because no one is waiting on you. It's moving. And the same way music is moving, every other industry is going to move that way. But then I also think that there's a lack of understanding as to what to do. You know why? Because with music, you have people like yourself who are in the industry, who live and breathe the industry. So you can tell what is pinching you. But then if I don't know where to go and I don't know what to do, it's money misroad. So if there's
a lot of school fees that have been paid from that money misroad.
Facts. I mean, you kind of just to make me laugh, but that's facts. You understand? So if there's a lack of information, you don't know where to start, you don't know where to go, then again, can we even blame them for the money misroad? Because maybe if you knew better, you'd do better.
Yeah. True. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just trying to point out what the possibilities are. Like in all the forums that people have been having, right? For me, in my opinion, the most important conversation or people that should be put in the room, right? If there's supposed to be a fund to back up something, should be the tech and the entertainment industry. Right, and I mean the people who have the understanding for both creating the content, right? Not just your understanding of what's working now, but what can work, what can stimulate not just the domestic market, but the international market. Not thinking from an international point of view, because it's scary it's weird to me when people keep saying what the international market wants to see. I don't care what the international market wants to see. We are cool enough as we are, as people. If we are able to get people both here and in the diaspora to think that this is cool enough for them to show their friends, You can't buy that marketing. You can't buy the marketing of 17 million people saying, I can beat my chest that this track can stand side by side any international track.
Yeah.
All right? And then I will play it to the highest volume. And you would listen to it so much that you start saying, what's that? Who's that? And all what's that? It's the same thing that needs to happen with the pictures. Because remember, what we're selling is culture.
Yeah.
We're not selling music, we're not selling film. We're selling our culture. And when I say culture, it's not epics and all of that. All right? What's our present culture? What's the mindset of a Nigerian? All right?
Yeah.
What pushes a Nigerian to crime? All right? What makes a Nigerian think the way they are? What makes us so driven? If we are attractive, just every country we go to, there's something about the Nigerian, you'd hear that. Then it means that we have something to sell.
Yeah.
That can be sold.
Yeah.
So the tech industry is the vehicle that helps us sell that culture. We don't have a streaming service, a domestic streaming service. And we have over 200 million people. Yes, okay, we don't have the financial capacity, all right? All right, fine. Everybody always says that Nigerians won't do that. All right, but we have moderately 17 million people in the rest of the world who have influence. So that 17 is essentially, for me, would be times 10, all right? What are we talking about? How do we not have an SVOD platform? I mean, music is successful, right? All right.
I was going to say that because
we don't have a DSP. How do we have an industry when we can't sell?
Exactly. That's the point. So
everyone's focusing on, sorry, Coach. Everyone's focusing on creating the music and creating the films. So we put the horse before the cart. Where the funding should be, where all the craze should be, is in being able to create. And when you have that conversation, when you're having a conversation with the money people, they're thinking about how to expand it. Oh, how it can be, it can also have Instagram on it and join a bunch of things. And because they're thinking about like the money.
Yeah.
Let's start from somewhere and build, let's build this trajectory first. No one's having that conversation.
But you know why? And I tell you. So the conversations, the places where this conversation, I would say, the goal of every person as a commodity that wants to be sold, if you're creative or you're doing film or music, is you want to be able to profit off of it, right? Now, granted, it's like you just read my mind. We don't have the streamers for ourselves here, and we don't have, the DSPs. But at the end of the day, I'm a filmmaker and I've released my film and I want to profit off of it. So at that moment, I'm looking at myself as a singular entity that needs to also profit off of this at the end of the day. So perhaps the conversations around funding are not being had with the right people, because we're talking about people who are, I'm a filmmaker, but there's an infrastructure that's meant to back me as a filmmaker. But really, that's not really my focus. I'm trying to just create the films. So are we having the right conversations with the wrong people, or are we just not even thinking about this infrastructure that could back? I've always thought infrastructure was when we think infrastructure, we always think it has to be physical, like land and property.
There's that.
Is that necessary? So would you say that's also part of what we equally need? Because now we're talking on the back end of the creativity is going. But the thing is, that's why it's also not translating to our economy here, because everything is going out. But maybe if we had these things, whether it's the physical or the tech-based digital infrastructure, maybe it will start translating to our economy.
It's approach and strategy. All right. You could decide that I want to be able to create this material, and then I want to be able to export it out.
Yeah.
Or I could create some sort of infrastructure that is here, all right, that is cheaper than anywhere else and is as effective as anywhere else. And so everyone's coming from out there here.
To see it.
To see it. So you could either say, I'm trying to do, off the top of my head, I'm trying to build an SVOD platform or DSP and all of that, and then we're shipping out. Or I'm going to stay here and build a backlot right? And then you have the capacity. What would cost you $100,000 to make in this country? You could do it in Nigeria for 30, and so we're paying on numbers, and they're coming here. South Africa, for instance, I went to school in SA.
Yeah.
So the infrastructure in SA makes a lot of people, a lot of production say, look, we can't shoot in LA, right? It's too expensive, and all the taxes and all of that. We'll probably go to Cape Town and go and shoot there. And then there's a lot of that moving down. So it depends on where you want to, as a business person. But again, it's the foresight to being able to know that this isn't going to be built. It's not going to be a 5 to 6 year thing, all right? And then they start throwing, the Naira is not stable. This is going. You start bringing up all of these things, and I get it,
because
right?
it's the reality at the same time.
I understand it, and I understand it 100%. But that's the beautiful thing about art is, contrary to what most people believe, as long as you're focused on the fact that you're trying to sell, art can become flexible enough to adjust itself to whatever is going on within the socio-political, economic state. It is flexible. Let me give you an example.
Exactly. I was going to say,
Let me give you an example. People wouldn't notice this, but music videos in America were really expensive, $1 million or $2 million.
Yeah.
When America went through the recession in, was it 2008?
Yeah.
All right. Post that recession, when I watched the videos, I saw them essentially break the cost of the productions all the way down. And so those videos that would have all right, and Colin would shoot, but if you watch the videos, all right, but it hadn't lost style. It hadn't lost cool.
Yes.
They made the new cool now becomes, we don't need all these big things. This is the new cool. All right? They
That
just
is true.
moved all of that.
Self-directors, in
just,
fact.
Moved it into that way. So it can be that flexible.
Okay.
All right?
So it is possible.
It is possible. Every single thing that we say isn't possible. I sat down and watched a lot of people, a lot of international people say that the sonics of Nigerian music was terrible as at 2010, 11, including Nigerian artists like, we don't, our mixes and our mastering is not.
I remember that.
Fast forward to about 2018, 19, white people didn't know how to mix Afrobeats, what people call Afrobeats, all right? What we call Afrobeats.
Listen, Clarence, I was about to say that. I need us to have another session where we talk about that.
They couldn't mix it. We had to start taking engineers from here, and producers had to go there to show them how to mix. But I thought you guys told us 10 years ago
you
that...
You cannot tell us who we are, and that's it.
We define what's international. International, what people say international doesn't define who we are.
Who we are. You know what? I feel like now that we're getting into the film, I know I'm excited. I'm excited to see, how we start to, because again, with all the noise, I strongly believe that there's a space of just complete silence and just going and redirecting and reshaping our understanding of what Nollywood is, right? And I'm excited for that. I'm also excited because with what you've done with Inside Life, which I said, I'm just gonna, because we have less than 5 minutes, right? What is the best way to grasp and appreciate the series?
To think about it that the show is about real Nigerians and the real Nigerian situations. I don't know how to make, I've tried, I don't know how to make pictures any other way. If I don't understand it, if I don't know the people.
Can relate to it.
All right. If I don't even know the people themselves, I can't write what I don't know. All right. I don't know if other people can, but I can't, if I can't hold on to something. So it's really about real people. All right. Some of the stories are actually really inspired by real events. All right. At least some parts of them are inspired by real events.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. You either like it or you don't like it. But if you don't like it, it's probably going to be because it's too close to home, it's triggering, it's a bunch of things. But it is as honest as I could get it to be.
Yeah.
I wish I could have made it more honest, but then maybe that one might have been a bit too much
for people. Now, I think in the times that we are in, honesty and in a sense, what could be triggering could also be therapeutic, because then
it was therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
I when I was done, I had went through a year of therapy with my family, all right, because of the fact that my cousin wrote one of the episodes, and he was inspired by things that she'd been through. And so I gave the script to my mom, and my mom cried because she had gone through the exact same thing. And then that started a snowball effect of conversations that became very uncomfortable, all right? But then we got through.
Got past it.
Yeah, if that didn't happen, we wouldn't have had those conversations.
And I think, again, that's also what, we look forward to when we create as well. I've taken a lot of things from this conversation. One, that truly and truly art and creativity is multidimensional. And it does not have to just be one path, especially because that's a path that you are familiar or people are familiar with you in. Clarence Peters, thank you for part 1 of this epic conversation.
Thank you for having me.